From the Fiery Bird in Woking, please welcome Elaine McGinty. Welcome. What's your background? I mean, you worked in community stuff, development, didn't you?
Yeah, that's really what it was. We were a band with no venue to play, and I was a community worker in the town. And it's regenerating, but people were telling us that the projects I was doing that they felt left behind, and we just thought that putting the 2 and 2 and 4 and 5 together, that to have a venue that welcomed everybody day and night would be the solution.
So how did you go about that? Because this is an amazing story, because you've ended up opening a venue or opening a club in a venue which you know is already going to be demolished.
Yeah, but if you've got nothing, you've got nothing to lose. So we had to do it, because if we didn't, it would draw the line under a venue at all. And not only, it wasn't just about what we were doing, it might make it difficult for anybody else wanting to try and do something that came from the grassroots up, rather than, there's nothing wrong with regeneration when it's balanced, but when it was starting to look like Gatwick Airport Lounge, and there was nothing that was the identity of the town in there.
So how did it come about? Tell us about the venue that you've started working in, and how you managed to get hold of it.
Well, first of all, we were just doing it in the street and different pubs and cafes and stuff around the town, just putting on original music. And then we managed to negotiate with a shop landlord, and we took over a shop for 6 months, but turned into 5 years, where we had acoustic work, and we taught people, we had charities come in and teach people job skills and how to get on the internet. All that time, we'd done a petition to the council that was accepted by the councillors, and a lot of them have been really on board. But the council kept saying, we haven't found anywhere. Then the chief executive went on camera and sort of totally slagged us off, and suddenly they found a venue a week later, and it was a 1,000-capacity venue. And
when did you take this over, and what state did you find it in?
Well, they offered it to us in 2016. The first year, we didn't realise they were negotiating. They didn't own it, or had asked the owners, so that was a total waste of time. Then another year went by. I think they thought we were going to give up and go away. And just as we were thinking of doing that, they went, all right, we'll complete. And the electrics hadn't been tested for years, so that cost $10,000. They did give us a small grant for refurb, but it just got blown by all that. The wires were hanging out. There was vomit behind some of the bars and stuff like that. It was lovely. So we were going to do an organic shop from that. But yeah, so it was in a real state, and we've not done much because obviously it's getting knocked down. But we did get a small grant from the county council, and we bought a sound system, because the reason was we're a band, and we know the main thing is that you want good sound and nice people where you go. So that's what we built the whole thing around.
It doesn't give you long, though, to get up and running, does it? And particularly, it's a very large space if you've got a 1,000-capacity venue that you've got to start booking from scratch immediately, virtually.
It is a very large space, and because they wouldn't give us proper completion dates, we couldn't do a diary ahead. We had to take it over, open it in May, and just go from the ground running. But we can't treat it as a large space. We have to treat it as a 50 capacity. We've got a social impact task that we've set ourselves as well. So we have to let the new bands, local bands, emerging bands use it, and even if they bring no one, we've got to pay the fixed bills on it. We've got to pay 20% of all the utilities of the whole complex, which includes a hotel, a nightclub, bowling alleys. What we've got to do is try and get promoters to take it on a larger basis, so that we can then put anything that comes from that back into the community and the emerging music.
I mean, this really does sound like it's a crusade, this. It's a brilliant thing to do, but this sounds like the epitome of a labour of love.
Well, I won't say there's any more. Yeah, I suppose it is, really. It's like when you know something, you can't unknow it. You can't not do it. And it's really because some people were moaning, because there was a photograph exhibition of Paul Weller's photos in Lawrence Watson's photos in the museum, and people had asked Paul Weller about, is there a venue? And he, not really, like a lot of towns, he wasn't moaning. And then people were kind of, why doesn't he do one? And we thought, well, why don't we do one? Why do you have to wait for someone else? You don't need permission. And as it turns out, you don't need any money, because we haven't got any.
What's been the reaction from the local community then in Woking? I mean, do you feel like you're getting their support, and that it really means something?
It does. It really does mean something, because I mean, some of the things are tiny. Like the open mic is tiny, you might get 20 people, but a guy who's got dementia will come and sing a song on his own, and somebody that's never gone out before will start coming, because we've got the connections in the community. They'll start coming out. Woking's a very diverse town, and one of the other points of the venue is that we don't have a cultural centre, so we wanted somewhere to bring all the communities together. There's a quite fractured in terms of not necessarily different ethnicities and faith, but different incomes. We've got a very wealthy town, but it's got pockets of deprivation that amongst the highest in the country, and people just felt left out. The council estate's being totally demolished, and we just needed somewhere people could come, and it didn't really matter whether they were rich or poor. Mental health doesn't care, so we just, it means a lot to us, and it means a lot to the people that are involved.
So what's your ambition? What's the plan for the future then? Get as much out of this as you possibly can, and then what happens?
There's two things. I've got my eye on a massive building that costs millions and a plot of land as well. So we're gonna try and get that going. No, oh, sorry, I haven't said to Joe yet, who's in the audience. Co-found. Anyway, he'll come round. And Eddie as well. Yeah, so it's to make something permanent that's owned by the community forever, and it's written into the deeds that it can't be taken back. And, you know, you can only give it a try. It keeps me out of the bingo, so.
Your best moment so far of being involved in this amazing story then? What's the best bit?
I think it's seeing people who've never performed before, or people who couldn't afford to learn music, guitar and stuff like that, to go through that process and then step up on the little stage. And it is lovely to have the bigger bands in touch and stuff, but really it's people who you know never went out, and now they go, not just to our place, they now follow artist rounds, and they go to the venues in Guildford and Aldershot as well.
Elaine McGinty, everybody.
Thank you.